So today I've got with me one of my great friends, Linda McKissack. Now, most of you who are watching this or listening to this, you already know Linda. She has made so many advancements in the real estate industry, not only as an agent, as a seventh level agent, and going on to start a region, being an OP. I mean, this lady has done it all, and she is helping everyone build residual income through profit share. So, Linda, I just welcome you here. It's so fun to be with you today.
I'm just so thankful you didn't say, Linda, she's made so many mistakes, because that would have been true also.
Well, hey, you know what? This whole thing, we wouldn't even be here if we didn't make a lot of mistakes, because you and I both know success and mistakes and failure. I mean, they're like two-lane highway side by side, right?
Yep, absolutely. Can't have one without the other.
Right. Well, one of the things that I love hearing about you is that you didn't just jump into real estate and find massive success. You came in with a little bit of debt.
Yeah, quite a bit of debt. We actually, I always say your greatest blessings come from your, greatest challenges, always, if you give it long enough and you look for the lessons in it. But yes, if you've heard my story, you know that we were $600,000 in debt. A major crash had happened in Texas, and we had to sell a business quickly for 600,000 less than we owed against it. So we owed the bank, but no longer had the business. But the blessing that came out of that, Dianna, was I was so lost because it was such a big obstacle that I had to ask someone else what they thought I could do to help them, because I'd never made more than minimum wage other than waitressing or bartending. And so, to be honest with you, I think sometimes the best place you can be is so far in the hole that you need to ask other people to help you see what you can't see. And so I asked Jimmy, my husband at that time, I'd love to help you because I know you're struggling here, but what in the world can I do? I mean, I didn't go to college. I'm a hard worker, but so far, unless I waitress or bartend, I don't make much money. And so it was his wisdom from a mentor of his that said, you know what, if you want to make a lot of money, real estate is the way to do it. Now, I laughed today because the guy meant buy some or develop some. He didn't mean get a wife and get her to sell some. That wasn't the message, but either Jimmy misunderstood on purpose or just didn't know. And so I got into real estate sales, and no, didn't start off with a bang, only did $3,000 gross. Jimmy said, this is gross. I spent 15 for you to make 3. This math isn't good. So, but back then, you and I both know there wasn't training like we're about to deliver in Nashville. No one was helping each other. You literally had to figure it out on your own.
You were on your own. And I remember you and Jimmy, I get to hear the story quite often because Tony loves telling it, how you and Jimmy kind of stopped him at one of the events that you attended.
Well, of course, great friendships come out of learning events, right? That's where you and I met. And of course, it's where we met Tony. And we met Tony that day. He was on stage and he had made $600,000. And back then, that was like several million now, would be in commissions. And we were like, that's our magic number. That's exactly how much money we owe. We've got to find this guy, and he's got to help us figure out how to make 600,000. So yes, we tackled him. We like to say we went rollerblading with him. We went to the movies with him. We went to dinner, and we would have slept in his room if he would have invited us.
Well, here's what I want people to hear about that. It's not about Tony. It's about the fact that you were willing to do whatever it took, and you were willing to listen to someone that had been there and done that. You didn't argue and say, hey, we've been successful in our own right. You went after it and you asked questions, which is something you're very good at and always have been. You don't act like you know everything like a lot of top agents do. You're always asking questions, always learning. And I think it's that hunger for growth and learning. I mean, after all, you and I were seminar buddies for how many years, right?
Still are. We still are, if we can find one to go to that we want to attend.
Well, when the boys go fishing, I mean, the last time we didn't find a seminar, we went and got our brain scans done, right?
I mean, we were grasping for straws, but Amen Clinic looked pretty good for us to go get our brain scan, see what we were dealing with.
Well, the biggest thing though, it's still about learning. It's about learning about ourselves, because you and I both know you've got to have growth on the inside. It's not about the environment, even though that helps you grow, you got to do the work on yourself, and you've got to be better, to do better, to have more, and to get more.
Yeah.
So let's go back to who you were being when you first got into real estate and some of the things that helped you grow, some of the lessons that you learned.
Well, I think one of the main lessons I learned is any kind of thing you want to solve or trying to accomplish or have more of, somebody out there knows how to do it. And you either need to read their book, you need to have a conversation with them, or you need to go to the seminar. And so I think that somehow, I don't even know who gave me the first, probably Jim Rohn book or whatever book got placed in my hand, Think and Grow Rich. I don't know, but it just sparked a fire in me to understand that, my gosh, maybe I wasn't taught this at home, or maybe no one I know around me knows how to do this, but somebody does. And so learning to seek out the education and the training that you need to accomplish whatever it is you want more of.
Well, and like Jim Rohn said, work harder on yourself than you do on your business, right? And I think that's something that I've watched you do, and we've both been involved in. Someone asked me the other day, how much have you spent on your education? And so I'm going to throw that to you, because I stepped back a little bit, and I know it's been millions.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean, does
I
that
don't know
sound
where I
like
heard
too
this.
much?
Well, I don't know where I heard this before, but I always heard that you should spend about 10% of your income, or the income you desire, on education. And it was funny because that was easy when I was making $100,000. Well, I say it probably wasn't that easy, but now you get in the millions and you still trying to follow that same rule. It gets harder and harder to find the education and the training that you need. But I don't think the rule changes at all. I think whoever you want to become, whatever that, when you bring value to the world, money shows up. So whatever that dollar amount is, that's, take 10% of that and put it back on education. And the bigger the number, the more you need to do it.
Well, that's a very good point, 10%, because you look back and like last year, Tony and I were talking about this, and education wise, I spent over 200,000.
Yeah.
And I don't know what you spent, yet a lot of people, when I talk about Nashville, for example, well, VIP, it's $29.95, and general right now is $399.
Yeah.
I mean, where do you get 10 great speakers like yourself? You're going to be joining us there, and you're going to be sharing about attraction. So tell them what they'll learn when they hear from you on stage.
Okay, well, I've just learned a really simple formula, Dianna, that I use no matter what I'm challenged to do. I used it to build my real estate practice to over 200 transactions a year. I've used it to build my profit share to over $1 million every year for the last probably 12, 15 years, to over 16 million total. And I used it when Gary sent me to Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky to introduce Keller Williams to people. It's just a formula that's always been tried and true for me. And it's just a formula that works on asking yourself, who do I need to be in relationship to accomplish this? What does my validity need to be to accomplish this? And what validity do I already have? And then also, what is my value gap, or what is someone else's? Because if I can, Zig Ziglar says it best: to get what you want in life, you just have to help enough other people get what they want. And the trick to that question is, you got to know what they want. You can't guess it. You can't assume it. You can't think what you want must be what they want. You really have to dig deep and understand what those people really, what is their biggest value gap at this moment, because they can have lots of value gaps, but the one that's most important to them right now, that's the one you got to help them with.
Well, and that's what you've really worked to do, especially opening up that Ohio region. You knew no one, right?
There was absolutely zero agents at the time. And there are moments, and I always love to tell the story about the one time I remember thinking about quitting, the one time. And I called my friend Joe Harker, and he said, Linda, you can't quit. And I said, I can't, because I don't want to let anybody down. I don't want to disappoint someone else. Right. So I said, well, I feel like I'm letting Gary down and Mo down and my family down, and I just don't want to do that. And he said, but you can't quit. And I said, I can't. Why? He said, because you don't know if you're on the 50-yard line or the 5. And that was exactly what I needed, because I said, you know what? I got to be on the 5. Surely to God, I'm on the 5. And sure enough, I was. Very shortly after that, one of my first offices said yes and opened up. So tenacity pays, you know.
Well, I think that's one of the things that you find in all people like you that are very successful is that tenacity, that persistence, that consistency of going for it. And like they say, at 211 degrees, water will make you tea, instant coffee, instant soup. It'll burn you. At 212 degrees, it'll make steam and take an ocean liner around the world. So it's that 1 degree difference. And you were willing to stay in for that 1 degree. So you're going to be teaching us that formula, right?
Absolutely. Going to teach it simple formula, because I think when we have clarity, we move. When we don't have clarity, we just stay where we are.
Well, being specific, that's for certain. It's kind of like, let's say, watching a TV that's all fuzzy. You can't really tell what the movie's about. Yet once that picture comes in clear, you can sit back, enjoy your popcorn and the movie, right? So here we are in Nashville. We've got 10 speakers. Got the world's leading AI expert, over 11,000 ways to use AI. He's not going to teach them all, yet he's going to teach us the unfamiliar, uncommon things that people don't even think about, guaranteeing us 1 day of our life back just by using these unconventional tools. We've got the Amanda Holmes with Ultimate Sales Machine, who's going to give us a step-by-step action plan, a blueprint, if you will, to double your business, the one that she's used for over 250,000 businesses. We've got John Maxwell, who you've been at his exchanges for years, for heaven's sakes, and you've had him speak at one of your events as well. John's been a mentor of mine for 29 years. He's going to speak on high road leadership. You the most excited to hear besides yourself? I mean, it's fun to get up and share, right?
Oh, absolutely. Life gives to the giver, as Joe Paula says, and takes from the taker. So let's always be givers.
So is there one person that you're excited to hear from on stage?
Well, I always love John. And it's so funny because as many times as I've heard John, every time I hear him the last time, I'm like, gosh, I've never heard that before. It's like I'm a new person and he has more messages. And so, I'm excited about all of them. I do want to learn about AI myself. So I'm super excited about that. I'm hearing it more and more in my arenas where I'm spending time, and I'm hearing how people are using it. And hey, I'm a driver. I love saving time. You want to make me happy, save my time, so I'm always looking for shortcuts to do that. So I'm super excited about that. But honestly, Dianna, I think there's going to be riches in everybody. And you're going to get the message that you're most there for, and you're going to get a lot of other stuff with you to take with you when you go home.
Okay, so we talked a little bit about what you're going to be sharing. I want to zero in on this attraction formula that you've used for so many years, because let's face it, you've gone from being $600,000 in debt to owning a jet, to jet setting around the world. You just got back from a cruise. You're living a pretty good life and blessed. And I love that you say that you're blessed and you give gratitude for it. Yet if I'm sitting there, I'm wondering if I should come to Nashville. What is the one reason I want to come and hear you?
Well, I would say, I think simplicity is important. If you really understand what great leaders are able to do, is they're able to make the complex simple. And I know I'm a simple person. And so I just need the formula. Just teach me what to do, and then I'll go do it. And so for me, I think it's going to be simplicity, a simple formula that you can run through no matter what you're trying to attract more of in your life. I mean, I truly think this formula works for everything. It has for me. It's the first thing I go to if I'm trying to solve my own problem or someone else's. And so I think you're going to walk away with just a real simple formula, questions to ask yourself, because nobody succeeds alone. What relationships are you going to need to accomplish what you're trying to get more of? What's your validity, and how do you increase your own validity? Because quite honestly, you attract the people that you're valid to. I got to have a beautiful conversation this morning with Dr. Henry Cladd, which you and I had so much fun bringing him back on the plane with us. And, to me, the more valid I can become, the more enriching relationships I can have the opportunity to be in those relationships. So there's so many things that get better when you get better.
well, your business grows to the extent that you do, right? And that was so much fun coming back with Henry Cloud. And of course, he gave me the real riot act about you only had one pilot in your plane, Dianna. You need to have two, if you remember right.
In fact, I told on you today, I said, I have 2 pilots now, thanks to you, but I'm not sure about Dianna. You'll have to ask her.
It was quite fun that day. And I mean, who gets to ride in a plane for what was it, 2.5, 3 hours
Yeah.
with a clinical psychologist, especially Dr. Henry Cloud, who has written so many books. I don't know about you. I learned a lot that day.
Oh. You know what? Because Dianna, we were willing to show up to a roundtable event with John Maxwell, pay the money, be there. And had we not said yes to that opportunity, we would have never had the opportunity with Dr. Henry Cloud. So even when you think you shouldn't, that's usually a sign you should. I mean, anytime I've ever thought, oh, I don't really know if I should go. I don't know if I have the time. I don't know if I have the money. That's even more important why you should go.
I'm so glad that you said that, because you and I were just recently with Jimmy, with Dan, Kathy at Trilla Studios. I
Yeah.
mean, here's a guy that helped build Chick-fil-A. Of course, his dad started it. He took over, and now his son has taken over it. And just being around those people that think so big,
Yes.
it rubs off on us, doesn't it?
Yes. Matter of fact, he opened my eyes to something that I now will see that I wouldn't see before. And that was something his dad taught him, which is never miss taking advantage of an unexpected opportunity. Because when you hear the story of how he created Trilith, it was because someone asked him to use his hangar to do a movie. And it was that unexpected opportunity that led to now a whole community, tons of places where they do all the best movies now, one of the leading places for movies to get produced. And I keep playing that over and over in my mind. And I know by that, I'm going to now see some unexpected opportunities that I didn't see before.
Well, and that's the thing. He actually just didn't hear about the hangar. Thought, what's the opportunity there? The thing that hit me is the way he started out with, well, anybody can sell chicken. And that's true. Yeah, Chick-fil-A sells a lot more chicken than anybody else. And let's face it, I don't think it's just their sandwich. It's the consistency. It's my pleasure. It's all those little things like the salt and pepper shakers instead of those little packages that you open up. And I think about realtors. They're sitting back. They're thinking about Nashville right now, saying, I don't know if I should go. I've got all this other stuff going. I just spent money on all these other things. And what you're telling us is that is exactly the reason that they should be there. Invest the money, hear from these people. You'll get what you deserve, because everybody's going to hear something different. And I'm just so excited, Linda, that you're going to join us, that you're going to take the stage, and you're going to share your formula for success, attracting others that you need in your life. So thank you so much for being with me today. Do you have any parting words for the people that are listening or watching this?
No, I would just say, hey, show up, be open, and take action. I mean, really, it's that simple. I think success is not complicated. It's simple but not easy, because so many things in the world try to get in the way from it. But I think if you listen to everybody, you'll hear a common theme about success, and it's never really super complicated. Just be there and be willing to be open and go get the message that you're there to receive.
I think the message that they'll receive will be different than a lot of places that you go to, conventions or to seminars, events like this, because you'll leave with blueprints. Every speaker has been asked to give us step-by-step things to do that we can take home and implement in our lives right away. So Linda, I'm going to see you before Nashville, yet I'm really excited to see you there. I'll be taking copious notes. Thanks so much for being with us.
Love you, friend. See ya.
Love you. Bye-bye.